All right, as we are celebrating our 21st founding anniversary of the Institute of Physical Education and Athletics with the theme Intensify, Promote, Empower, Adapt, harnessing the power of physical education and sport towards a healthy and active community. We welcome all of you, ladies and gentlemen, to our afternoon event entitled Revolutionizing Sport Through New and Innovative Games. I am Bailey Sakot, your host for this afternoon, part of the 5 SWMA class of IPEA, fellow classmates and teachers. Here we are going to introduce dynamic and passionate speakers to share their new and emerging sports that has already piqued the interests of a lot of people. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of our institute administrators, distinguished guests, speakers, faculty members, fellow students, classmates, and other participants from all over the Philippines and maybe even the world. We are honored and thankful to have you with us this afternoon. For our next guest speakers, for one, I will talk about the first one, the founder of the Roundnet Philippines, who does not only have the looks, but he also has the brains, the vision, and the ability to lead the team in establishing Roundnet in the Philippines and to bring a positive impact in the community. As an alumnus from the University of the Philippines, he captured the Roundnet community's attention around the world as he hosted the biggest Roundnet game in the Philippines using the Spikeball app, taken up Bachelor of Physical Education from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and now a full-time teacher and also a school sports director and a basketball coach, Coach Vic Domingo. For our next speaker, he is driven by sports and the outdoors. It was easy for Roundnet to pique Coach John's interests. Coach John wears many hats and is not just a strength coach, but he also teaches PE at the University of the Philippines and mentors athletes in Special Olympics Filipinas. Currently, he is the head of the education and development at Roundnet Philippines with hopes to grow and integrate the sport within our schools. He dreams of playing spike ball in the Philippines in the most scenic places to someday form a national team here in the Philippines and compete against the best in the world. Bachelor of Sports Science, UP Diliman Strength Coach, Education and Development Coach John Aquino. And also, with them currently studying at the University of Santo Tomas, this aspiring special needs teacher is suited up to help develop the Roundnet community in the Philippines. This determined, ambitious lad is your friendly neighborhood spiker man. Just give him a call and prepare a nice cup of coffee. He will be there in no time. He is currently a Bachelor in Special Needs Education Program in Early Childhood Education, University of Santo Tomas Education Development, Coach Jun Tabiolo. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Coach Vic, Coach John, and Coach Jun. Virtual round of applause, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Good afternoon, everyone. Together with the Roundnet Philippines, we would like to welcome you all. I am Coach Jun Tabiolo from the Education and Development team, and joining me for this afternoon, one of the founders of Roundnet Philippines, Coach Vic Domingo, and the head of Education and Development, Coach John Aquino. So before we start, I would like to warm things up a bit by showing you one of the amazing yet tiring rally in Spikeball's Summer Spike 2018. Enjoy.
If he tries it again.
Would have been an exciting play. Instead, you've got two teams racing to get to the 15-point mark. This one up in the air, nice set there, saved by Rouse. Farlow sets him up. Graham using the left hand, gets it back. The tweener saved to the side. Kept alive again. What a rally here, and the drop shot ends it.
Great second set from Joel. Beck has enough time to put it on. Tori puts this one along. Joel is high enough. An even better second set here from Becca, so Joel can put it short and find Jared too far.
Well, as you can see, Spikeball is a fun, intense, and exciting sport to play. So without further ado, please welcome Coach Vic Domingo as he will share with you the history of Spikeball.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Maraming salamat po sa UST Institute of Physical Education and Athletics for inviting us here. It's a great opportunity for us to promote the sport during this pandemic. So as I was listening to the speakers earlier from Coach Jenny of pickleball, Coach Ralph from floorball and the petanque, we really are taking down notes right now because we want to learn from them on how to promote the sport here in the Philippines, and hopefully we get to grow and develop the sport just like what they are doing and what they've done for the past few years. So relatively, our sport is a bit younger than compared to the other sports. So this was the first step. So it was invented in 1989. So we'll talk more on about the history, and after that we'll discuss more on how it developed here in the Philippines and for the future plans, and especially how to play. And we'll show you more of the highlight videos later at the last part. And we're opening up for Q&A later at the end of the presentation. So let's get right through it. Okay, so the history of Spikeball. So just to clear things out right out of the bat, the name of the sport is actually called Roundnet. Okay, but when it was first invented, it was called Spikeball. So they had to make sure that they separate the terms so to avoid confusion. Parang, di ba today we term as Xerox as the photocopying machine, where Xerox is actually the company that makes the photocopying machine, and the actual thing is the photocopier. Parang pabili nga ng Colgate yung close-up. We want to make sure that we differentiate that Roundnet is the name of the sport. Spikeball is the brand for the company that makes the equipment for the sport of Roundnet. But the reason why there's confusion because in 1989, okay, the Spikeball as a toy was made or invented by an American cartoonist, industrial designer, and toy maker named Jeff Knurek. So he designed a game for recreational games, for fun, for family and friends to play with during their gatherings or their outings. And the rules were really simple. And actually the design of it was really simple, that you can bring it anywhere. You can assemble, disassemble, put it in a bag, and store it inside the car or under your bed. And eventually, after he invented the sport, after a few years, it became popular for, relatively mga around 6 years lang ang tinagal nung kasikatan ng sport. So it faded out slowly. But one of the original sets, the design, as you can see in the picture, where it's like a trampoline-like object, where it has rims, legs, net, and of course the ball, the bouncy ball, they call spike ball. So fun fact lang, the company that marketed the product was the toy company, the Japanese manufacturer named Tommy. So if you're familiar with the brands, sila rin yung Thomas and Friends or the Tomica, yung mga car collectors. So eventually, after a few years, as I've said, it became popular. They even had competitions, international competitions. And let me just show you a quick video of the original commercial of Spikeball way back in the late 80s, 1990s. Okay, so let's watch this.
Hey, if you can breathe, you can play.
Alright. Ewan ko, medyo naglalag yung video, no? Or di nyo napapanood, frame by frame, pasensya na po. But as you can see, yung video quality was actually a bit medyo luma na siya kasi it was produced in 1990s. And as you can see, the trademark na yung retro, very bright pink, medyo neon yung colors. And actually, this commercial, I just found out last night na discover ko lang siya when I was searching for yung kay Sir Jeff Knurek, where he archived this video way back in the 90s. So it started there, and they had their competitions. And after a few years, around 6 years, it slowly began fading away. Oops. Ayan. So it faded away because the toy company and the inventor did not update the equipment. So kung ano siya noon, that's it. So people find it a bit, parang hindi na nag-innovate yung sport. So naluma siya, it slowly began fading away. And around 2003, here's where it gets interesting. Parang nalaos na siya. And a group of friends brought their Spikeball set this was 2003 na, so advanced fast forward. They brought their set and played it in the beach of Hawaii. And a lot of people saw them playing and asking them, what's that called? Where can I buy the set? And one of the players thought of it like, actually, we really don't know where you can buy the set. Wala na siya, outdated na siya. And that's where he saw the potential of the sport from regaining its popularity. So he did his research. His name is Chris Ruder. So he's now the CEO of Spikeball Inc. So Chris of Spikeball did his research and he saw that there was no patent on the design and there was no trademark for the sport or for that specific game. So what he did was he acquired the trademark, and after a few years, he designed and researched for a better structure for the equipment, and then began selling them and marketing it online. So fast forward after a few years.
I love this.
So fast forward, sorry. After a few years, he began selling the sets and became a company registered, and he had this popularity in the TV shows, national TV shows, where I'm going to show you a video. They were presented in a segment called Weird Web Stories. So para it's very unusual for the sport to have a comeback and people don't know how to play it. So they had this segment. Let me show you the video.
Spikeball tournament in Pismo Beach. Check out this new sport called Spikeball. First of all, it's a great name. With Spikeball, you need to bounce the ball on the net first so it ricochets upward at an opposing player. They, in turn, have to be able to bounce it back to your team within 3 hits like volleyball, or you score. You score points every time they miss. Score of 21 is needed to win the game. That looks like so much fun to me.
I like that. You talk about getting in shape. Boy, I would be tired right now.
It's about time someone came up with a good new sport.
I like that.
So actually, what's good about, sorry, ako lang talaga, but what's good about Spikeball is that the CEO, Chris Ruder, got together with his team who are also physical educators. So they developed teaching materials, not only tournaments, but also they focused on teaching the sport through schools around the United States. And actually, fast forward to that segment from ESPN, they gained their popularity more and more as people grew interest for the sport. And they also were featured in another TV show called Shark Tank. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the concept of the TV show is they present the business and would ask for investors to invest in their company to further promote and develop the sport. So actually, during that time, there were no deals made. So walang investor that took interest. Well, there was someone who were interested in investing, but they did not come up with an agreement. But the Shark Tank effect made the sport more even popular. So after a few years, again, fast forward, sabi ko kanina, they were featured in ESPN as a weird web story. And now they had this whole segment of their tournament being featured in prime time in ESPN. So let me show you this intro video.
Over 180 Spikeball teams have gathered today in Coney Island, New York to compete in Spikeball's 6th annual Summer Spike Tournament. We'll crown champions in men's, women's, and co-ed divisions.
So it was just interesting that around in a span of 3 years, as they did their tournaments and gained popularity, afterwards, up to now, elite players, even professional athletes, are into the sports. Where we can see here NHL players, NBA athletes from the NBA bubble just last year. We have WNBA players, MLB, Major League Baseball, NFL, and even NBA champions such as Anthony Davis play this sport every Fridays, every weekend with his friends. So as the sport continued to grow, this is another video of Anthony Davis playing the sport.
Oh! Get back, Frank.
So there, as you can see, Anthony Davis, an NBA champion, playing the sport of Roundnet during his conditioning training. So you can see there he has his strength and conditioning coach there. Would incorporate Spikeball or the Roundnet during their pre-practice session or warm-up sessions. Maybe a fun fact lang din I just want to add. An alumnus of UST IPEA, a friend of mine, Coach Martin Alido, He's a strength and conditioning coach of the Liab Esports national team in Batangilas. So we were planning to, he asked me to bring my Roundnet Philippines team and demonstrate, have a workshop with the Batangilas players in the Liab Esports. However, that's the time where pandemic hit. Pero yung sa Liab Esports, I was able to go and visit their training facility. So mga esports player to. So I brought my set. However, pandemic kasi noon in their place, yung venue nila, it was one of the warm zones nung pasikat pa lang yung nung ano pa lang yung pasikat nung ano pa lang yung pandemic nung nagsisimula na siyang maging ano sa Philippines. So anyway, I brought my set pero I was not able to teach them face to face. I just gave the set to Coach Martin and gave him the resources how to play the sport, and then I left. And the thing is, hindi na bumalik sa akin yung set. I was not able to get the set back. They really enjoyed the sport. They bought the set. They stay there. They continue playing until now. So I guess there's a thing about playing this sport as your warm-up sessions for national athletes in the future, for our players here. For those who are interested in maybe coaches here in the national team, like si Coach Ralph's floorball, they can also do cross trainings of playing the sport of Roundnet. So as the sport grows and becomes more popular around the world, we now have our head of development and education, who is Coach John, who will be talking about the scene here in the Philippines, on how it started and how it developed across the nation. So let's have Coach John.
Hi, everybody. I'm Coach John. And grabe, guys, I love Spikeball. Let me just start by saying that. And I've been very fortunate to witness the sport grow in the Philippines. And actually, naiingit ako sa mga ibang sports dyan eh. Meron ng laro sa SEA Games, you guys are competing internationally. And like Coach Vic says, we're taking notes. Kasi we want to, you guys have established the standard na you guys paved the ways for your sports. We want to do the same for Spikeball here in the Philippines. Actually, Roundnet. So unang-una, ako yung mga guilty doon na for the longest time, I was calling it Spikeball. Diba? But the actual sport is yun nga, Roundnet. It was first introduced to me and a few friends in 2017 by Ultimate Frisbee players. So a lot of the sports dito sa Pilipinas been introduced from people that came abroad, introduced to their friends here, tapos somehow na-integrate din sa ibang sports na ginagawa nilang cross-training. So in this case, naglaro kami sa Sunken Garden in UP Diliman, and friends from Ultimate were just, playing this new sport in between their games. They do it pang warm up or just to kill time. Tapos, eventually tinuro din sa amin. The learning curve was really slow for me. Medyo matagal ko na pick up yung Spikeball, pero yung mga ibang kasama namin, they picked it up naturally because other sports were somewhat similar to Spikeball, like volleyball. I have friends from volleyball that picked it up pretty well. Mga tennis players somehow nag-transfer yung ano doon. So yung first year was 2017 in Spikeball, and nag-start muna siya as a group chat. We had this group chat, Spikeball sa UP. So nag-start muna doon na message lang, tara laro tayo, ganyan. Eventually gumawa ng Facebook group to make posts about Spikeball, to increase the hype of Spikeball. Roundnet PH, you could still find that on Facebook. Pero ikwento ko na rin yun and what happened to Roundnet PH. Ayun, so that's how we started first year, very humble beginnings. Just spreading the sport through people na just around friends, yung mga in our social circles. Like parang hindi pa namin kinakalat sa social media, hindi pa siya sobrang laki in the Philippines. It was more just like spreading the word. Tara, punta ka dito, I have to show you this new thing, this new sport that's very exciting. Okay, next slide. So 2018, fast forward a year later, we are in Pangasinan, Lingayen, for our first Roundnet tournament. So Philippine Beach Games reached out to Coach Paul. One of the big kuyas ng Spikeball, si Coach Paul. So he was the one who taught all us younger guys how to play, and introduced a lot of people to the sport. So siya led, malaking contribution siya sa growth ng Spikeball dito sa Pilipinas. And so Philippine Beach Games reached out to him and wanted to include Spikeball in their list of sports. Okay, so marami silang sports eh. Yung Lingayen, mahaba siyang beach eh. It's a really long beach. So yung mga sports dun, flag football, they had handball, they had petanque, andun din yung petanque, lawn tennis, andun. They had, I think, natuloy ba yung may fat bikes ata eh. Anyway, andun din yung Spikeball. So it was really cool na grabe after a year and dito na tayo, we're now able to have tournaments. We're now hosting tournaments of Spikeball. It was a good learning experience. Maraming sumali, pero maliit pa rin yung reach namin nun. And then it was really cool kasi katabi namin yung handball arena. Tapos it's kwento lang kasi yung Philippine Beach Games was I think 3 countries were there. There was people from Japan were there to compete. People from Malaysia, Indonesia. Yung Japanese Spikeball, yung Japanese handball team, laki Spikeball sa amin. So we were actually teaching the sport to international countries that we expected that they know the sport already, pero parang sa kanila bago din. And because they were handball players, parang ang bilis nila ma-pick up din yung game. Okay? So yeah, that was our first year, 2018. We had, yun yung biggest milestone namin was itong Spike Off. Next year, we had another tournament. And hindi lahat ng tournaments namin beach tournament. It's just, yun nga, may attraction din yung playing the sport in very scenic places, di ba? So yun yung advantage ng Spikeball. You could play it in the gym, you could play it on the grass, you could play it on the beach. Parang tennis, iba-iba yung effect ng surface to the sport, di ba? Mas mabagal syempre sa sand, pero makaka-dive ka. Hindi katulad ng nasa hardwood floor ka, you can't really dive, you're gonna mess up your face or I don't know, di ba? Baka ma-injure ka pa. Kalayo Spike Off. So around this time, around the time that Philippine Beach Games was happening, si Coach Paul started to go work at Kalayo sa Batangas. Okay? And with that came Spikeball. So, tinuro niya rin yung community dun. Sobrang galing. As in, parang grassroots program ng Spikeball eh. We really saw the sport grow in a place that we didn't expect there to be Spikeball, diba? Like, so, nagkaroon ng community dun of Spikeball players. Yung nag-start siya sa MB Cove, which is a inflatable resort. Before nagkaroon, may inflatable sila dati, so yun yung biggest attraction nila. Yung mga lifeguards nila, yung naging Spikeball players. And then eventually it spread out to the communities. So yung mga MB Cove lifeguards, man, don't take them for granted. Sobrang galing nila. Tapos home turf pa nila, sanay sila sa buhangin. May mga ganyan eh, may mga home court na ganyan sa Spikeball eh. So it was really cool kasi it wasn't just people from katulad ng beach games. It was people from QC Manila going to Pangasinan to compete. This was the first tournament where we saw people from Batangas mismo and QC and other provinces competing in a tournament. Okay, so fun fact lang, kami ni Coach Paul yung nanalo. Pero wala ako sa power ranking, so it doesn't count. So ayun, next year 2020, a lot of things happened. So like exponential yung growth ng Spikeball, which was it's happening really fast and it's really exciting. But so about Roundnet PH, yung Roundnet PH, founded by a few of us from yung UP community. at the same time, there was another organization starting off in Taguig, started by Coach JR and a few others. They were Roundnet Philippines. Okay, so they reached out to Coach Vic and Coach Paul. Let's just make this one thing because maganda yung brand din nila, and we were also heavy on the events. You know, a lot of us weren't really marketing people, pero mahilig kami gumawa ng events. We were heavy on the education. We love to teach. We love to play. Post lang kami ng post, pero walang, I guess, direction or strategy. But so it was really cool to partner up with people outside our field that knew how to brand and market this sport to make it more presentable to different types of markets, diba? So we actually kaka-anniversary namin eh. So this is January 2021. So 1 year na kami sa Roundnet Philippines, and you could find us on our website as well. So pero mamaya na yung socials. So this was our first meeting. This is history right here. This picture is Spikeball history. Yan, in a nutshell. So, yun. In this meeting, we talked about a lot. Next slide. So this is where we establish our mission, their vision, their values. So our mission is to promote Roundnet as a sport enjoyed by individuals, organizations, and communities all over the Philippines. Okay. So we just want to inspire people to the sport and okay. And our vision is for every Filipino to be united while playing Roundnet without boundaries. Okay. Our values, Roundnet shall be guided by these values: is excellence, solidarity, and passion. And what I love about this community is everyone that we meet that plays spikeball in the Philippines is very passionate. As in, konti na nga lang yung naglalaro, but when you know that somebody plays spikeball, may parang twinkle sa mata nila. That's excited sila magsalita about spikeball. Parang, did you say spikeball? Bro, ganyan yung parang, whoa, so you play spikeball? Cool. Yung parang marami rin na gusto mo nakikita nila sa social media kasi yung nga pinakita ni Coach Vic yung video, marami na yung NBA players, marami ng ibang athletes and I guess famous people with influence that are playing the game. So when they see it on social media, they see that, whoa, there's ganyan sa Philippines. Like, how do you play? Where do I go? Like, to find that out. So yun, it's very passion talaga is what drives this organization. Okay. So, okay, we had a lot of plans for 2021. So after that meeting, naisip namin let's make a series, a palo series, okay, based off of Filipino foods. So yung first one, Coach Vic, diba, tama, Turon Cup was the first sa BGC.
Actually, Kikiam Cup, hindi na tuloy
Kikiam
yung
Cup.
Turon.
Yun na yun, no? Yung Turon hindi na, okay.
Hindi na.
So yung Kikiam Cup sa UP, it was may video tayo nito, no? Let's show them the video. One, two, go!
Basic rules, lalo na sa beginner, kung may mga tanong kayo, walang problema, magtanong lang kayo about sa switching, sa rotation, tapos kung ano yung mga service. Format natin, double elimination. Pag natalo na kayo ng 2 beses, eliminated na. So, aabot tayo hanggang sa may mag-determine tayong champion sa beginners division saka sa advanced, sa intermediate division. Okay, so yung winners will receive prizes as mentioned, 200 pesos worth ng fish jam. Meron tayong mga certificates, may mga nag-video, may nag-picture natin, kung meron tayong mga highlights.
game.
That was good.
Experience niyo po dun sa laro. Gano'n po siya kasaya, ka-enjoy. Bakit siya masaya laro eh? Kung bakit nila kailangan i-try?
Yeah. Sobrang masaya. Kahit ano. Masaya po. Sobrang pause na pause.
Yeah.
Para pong championship kanina. Ano po? Ng-international. Okay! Okay!
Siyempre po nakakapagod. Pero other than that, masaya siya talaga. Very pampatanggal ng taba. And overall, kahit natalo kami, di namin ako yung kikiam, masaya pa rin.
Yeah, first time and it's my first time. I was very anxious at first, but it turns out it's a lot of fun. I get to meet more people. I get to experience, the true spirit of Spikeball actually. And kikiam or not, kakain pa rin ng kikiam mamaya.
Tama.
So, Spikeball every Saturday, Sunday, kasi
gusto talaga maka-experience ng fun game. Madali siyang ma-incorporate kasi 2-on-2 lang. So, lagi kang may chance sa mga gano'n kasaya? 0 to 10, gano'n kasaya? 32. Oo, mga gano'n. Kung may time kayo, sali kayo sa Roundnet, Spikeball. Masaya. Maganda siya kasi hindi siya nagde-demand ng sobrang athleticism. So, kahit hindi ka sobrang athletic, wala kang background sa sport, pwede kang okay maglaro. Daling matutunan, sobrang daling matutunan. Basics lang yung rules, tapos hindi complicated.
Siya super challenging kasi hindi lang siya force kailangan yung accuracy. Kasi halos ng challenges nandun na.
Tinetest yung yung agility mo, then also endurance. And also yung disiplina.
Hindi siya talaga force. Meron dapat.
You have to try the game. It's quite fun.
Hi everyone! Hello! Masaya po maglaro ng Spikeball. So, join kayo! I'm crazy! Kabawas pa ng fat! Napayat na ako dahil sa Spikeball. Sure! Kaya i-try nyo na po ang Spikeball. Masaya. Competitive. Kahit pa paano, pero hindi naman gano'n. Parang friendly
siya,
game.
pero chill lang. Walang bad speed. Nakaka-burn ng fats yung Spikeball at the same time, masaya.
Ayun, masaya yung game. Kahit na gumulo ka ng nasugatan pa ako. Ayun, hindi naman siya masakit, pero satisfying naman. Masarap sa feeling yung kahit nasugatan ka, ayun, bangon pa rin. Tapos ulit pa rin ang laban. Masaya kahit talo. Ayan.
First time ko mag-compete sa volleyball. Laro lang kami ng mga teammates ko. It's a fun, other activity than playing our sport. Yun, fun pastime siya. Yeah, I invite other people to join or try this game and compete also.
Try yung subukan tong nilalaro namin Roundnet. Okay naman siya. Kahit pa paano, kahit na may edad, pwede pa maglaro. Sana subukan nyo lang. Sure na mag-enjoy kayo. Pwede naman kami magturo pala. Enjoy na kayo! Yeah!
Sali kayo!
Join us! Yes!
Open to all.
Join na kayo! Sali kayo!
Sali kayo! Let's go!
I'm inviting you all to come and play with us every Saturday, 3 p.m. onwards at BGC, Taguig City, and also Sunday here in UP Diliman. Spikeball!
Bye! Bye!
So we had invited a lot of players from all around once we started the clubs around BGC in UP. And I also want to mention that I introduced the sport to the school where I'm teaching or when I'm the coach. So I introduced it in a private school in Fairview, where the reception of my students, talking about passionate players, just like what Coach John said, the reception of my students to the sport was really, well, I was surprised, no? Ang bilis nila magets and they were so interested with the sport. So they even had the chance to visit the UP campus. They went out of their comfort zones. They play outside. And we invited them in this tournament where we had two divisions, the beginner and the intermediate. and we had around 32 teams. Well, when we say 32 teams, ano lang 2 players lang kasi sa isang team. It's not like floorball or the other team sports where they had so many players in the lineup. So for us, this was a really big thing. So this was in 2020. So we formalized the organization in January. We had this tournament in February 2. And then we had the lineup of the events in March and so on. Kaya lang nahinto. So this was what I think the highest level of tournament that we organized in 2020. So during that time, we had these teams entering from the ages around high school level to professionals to even older level. Yung nag-champion sa beginner level si Kuya Roy or what we call Tito Roy. Yan, yung age niya, nandun na siya sa parang seniors division. Pero naglaro siya sa beginner to teach yung partner niya who was all beginners from the sport. As in, no idea, first time to join a tournament, first time to play spikeball. And they eventually won the championship there. So yeah, we really want to include everyone in this tournament. So we had so much fun in that tournament. Ayan po siya.
Next slide. What's that?
Ito yung picture sa school where I teach in Good Shepherd Cathedral School in Fairview. So we had the luxury, we had the opportunity to purchase sets from spikeball.com's website. And we reach out directly to Spikeball. And sabi nga ni Coach Ralph earlier in his talk about developing your sport, it's very important to have this global community interaction with the people around the world and creating those relationships with them. So I had this opportunity that they sent out sets for us since they understood that I'm starting to introduce the sport in our PE curriculum. So they were generous enough to send out those sets. Of course, the school also purchased. Pero most of the sets there were given for free by Spikeball. So for all the listeners here who are also PE teachers, coaches, feel free to connect. So we'll connect you to the Spikeball Incorporated. Anyway, during this tournament, we had champions from senior high school level. We had participants from junior high school level, and we also had teachers who tried the sport. And yun nga, sobrang the reception was so much fun. Lahat beginners. Wala pa kagad yung elite players, walang division. So even most of course, the champion players here were my varsity players. These are my basketball players. And as you can see in the center, that's Sean Reyes. He's also a high school student. Until now, he's in grade 12. And he's a Spikeball ambassador as well. So he committed to spread the sport and promote the sport. And at a young age, he's also part of our organizing committee in Roundnet Philippines. So we would like to also inform everyone that whoever is interested to be part of Roundnet Philippines, we're very much open. We're a very young sport. We want to promote the sport. And yun nga, nabanggit ni Coach John kanina, we had our first year anniversary recently, January 2021. So this was during the pandemic. And very weird yung setup that we really want to promote, but we cannot go outside and play.
Yeah.
So we tried to do our best to have live stream. We gave away sets, merchandise, caps, shirts, lahat. Ewan ko, mamaya kung magpapamigay si Roundnet Philippines sa mga sets and shirts. Abangan nyo na lang mamaya. But during our event, we had this live stream. Ito na yung pinaka-touch base namin sa members or sa mga interested in the sport. So we had to do this online. So one thing I'd like to share also, yung one winner, we had this contest where we want to see who can send out their very best interesting picture about Spikeball. And we had players from Samar who made their makeshift, gawa improvised Roundnet equipment made out of PVC pipes, net for fishing, and the ball for soccer ball. And we were so impressed. We sent out sets to them. Then they got the sets immediately, and they started to play there. And we also had other donations or what do we call that? Parang outreach namin to people around the Visayas area, Mindanao area, from Palawan to Dumaguete, where we send out sets there. And eventually, little by little, the growing community has developed here in the Philippines. So I think we have time to share the video of history, Coach John, no? Coach June.
Yes, we can.
Before we translate, we
Coach.
go to Coach June's presentation. So let's watch this video.
Coach Ronald J.R. Bolando and Coach Paul Liboon. As the founders of the organization, they all shared a common goal: to promote Roundnet under one governing body that is responsible in supporting the growing community of the sport here in the Philippines. This common goal ignited their perseverance and dedication towards building a rounded community with a welcoming environment for all Filipinos. Before Roundnet Philippines was officially established, a number of people were already familiar with Roundnet, such as the Ultimate Frisbee community. They played Roundnet as their warm-up and idle time activity in between their games. The interest then for the sport grew significantly as it gained more recognition because of various pickup games held at UP Diliman, Sangkit Garden, and MP Cove in Nasugbu, Batangas. These games were zealously hosted by Coach Paul and attended by keen players from the locals in Batangas, the Ultimate Frisbee community, and interested ballers. As the number of players increased, Coach Paul decided to develop Roundnet PH, also known as Roundnet Pilipinas, in 2017. Roundnet PH hosted its first tournament, the Lingayen Spike-Off, during the 2018 Philippine Beach Games at Lingayen, Pangasinan. Competitive players and beginners were invited to join, and thus the sport of Roundnet was put under the spotlight and was acknowledged by many. This then led to another tournament, the Kalayo Spike-Off, held at MV Cove, Batangas, where Coach Vic competed and was a fresh member of Roundnet PH. Filled with a fun and exciting experience from the Roundnet tournament at Kalayo, Coach Vic was enthralled with the sport and saw the huge potential of it to become the next big thing here in the Philippines. It fueled him to start a movement of his own. Eventually, Coach Paul and Coach Vic joined forces with Coach Ronald, whom originally established Roundnet Philippines in 2020. With a count of only 4 members, including himself, Coach Ronald decided to partner with Roundnet PH. On January 21, 2020, the first official meeting of Roundnet Philippines was held. All 3 coaches, together with other members, finally formed an agreement to officialize the partnership of both Roundnet PH and Roundnet Philippines to work together and have an official Roundnet organization. This marked the beginning of further promoting and spreading the sport of Roundnet all over the country.
Join the movement and spike on!
That video focused on what we talked about and how the spike ball grew here in the Philippines. And I guess Coach John, we can transfer to Coach Jun, no? How he will talk about how.
I just want to say one thing before we go to Coach Jun. But so since the pandemic, we haven't sit still. You know, there's still a lot of back end work going, and I'm really proud of everyone in Roundnet Philippines for doing their part, and we've come a long way. And this 2021, we've had a lot of milestones in the organization. So recently, we are now SRA recognized, which is a Spikeball Roundnet Association recognized, and we are now part of the Spikeball Ambassadors organizations, and we are now recognized also by an International Roundnet Federation. So we're now a part of that. So since yung Spikeball, it's a big sport right now around the world, and they have nationals. So this year it was supposed to be held in Belgium, pero because of the pandemic, parang aloof pa rin yung date niya. And because of that, because andun na tayo sa International Roundnet Federation, we have an opportunity to send Filipinos off to play in international Roundnet competitions like this. So we're one step there, and exciting times ahead. So for all you people wanting to join, looking for something new, something exciting, and want to be, representing our country someday in this amazing sport, you know where to find us. But before we talk about that, let's talk about how to play the game. So we have Coach June who will explain to us how to play the game.
Coaches, hi. If I may lang po, 10 minutes to go. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Coach John. Before I teach you the fundamentals of the sport, Coach, yung video muna.
Roundnet, the game, easy to learn, difficult to master. Let's take a look at the basics. The sport of Roundnet is played 2-on-2 with each team starting on opposite sides of the net. Once the ball is served, you get up to 3 touches to try to return the ball back on the net, just like 2-on-2 volleyball. Think bump, set, and spike. What makes Roundnet unique is that after the serve, there are no sides or boundaries. You can run, pass, and spike the ball off the net in any direction to try to win the point. When a team fails to return the ball, the rally is over and the other team receives 1 point. That's about it for the basics.
All right. So Roundnet, or famously known as Spikeball, is a sport that is easy to learn yet very difficult to master. And kahit ako, yun din yung naiisip ko kasi I'm a volleyball player pero super grabe yung adaptation ko para makalaro properly ng sport. So it is similar to volleyball, but take note, it is played 2 versus 2 as you can see in the picture. The game will start with a service where the player must hit the ball off the net, and then a change of possession will happen. The opposing team has up to 3 alternating touches to return the ball. Just like in volleyball, bump or receive, set, which is the job of a setter in a volleyball game, and lastly, spike. So, repeat ko lang, bump, set, and spike. As you have seen in the video, there are no boundaries after the serve, meaning you can move or hit in any direction to earn a point, making it a little bit harder for your opponent to defend because you can attack in all angles. After you successfully return the ball off the net and your opponent failed to return the ball, basically you will earn a point. Ganun lang yung pointing system namin. But as you can see in these pictures, there are other ways on how to earn a point. For example, when the ball hits the rim, yung black and yellow part ng, yes, yung tinuturo ng cursor ni Coach Vic, black and yellow part ng equipment. Pero unless if the ball hits the rim during the first service, wala pang point yon. We call that as fault. The player will be given at least 2 chances to successfully serve the ball off the net. Pero if sa second try niya hindi successful yung pag-service niya, dun ka makaka-earn ng point. So other ways para maka-earn ng point, when your opponent fails to continue the rally at bumagsak na sa ground yung bola, or bounces more than once sa net and clearly cross the net, cross or rolls across the net, you will earn a point. So to total 10 minutes na meron tayo. Now to wrap it all up, you just have to remember these key points that I've made. First, it is played 2 versus 2. Pero in some cases, remember na pwede siyang laruin 1 versus 1 as a form of warm-up or to hone your skills individually. Second, the game will start with a service. Third, you will have up to 3 touches to return the ball. Again, bump, set, spike. Yun talaga yung 3 fundamental aspects of the game na kailangan natin matandaan. Next is, there are no boundaries. It is a 360 game. Lastly, just spike the ball. Make your opponent earn their points. So once you manage to learn and remember these points, you are now ready to play. So next, Coach. Moving on, if you have any questions, clarifications, there will be a question and answer portion at the latter part of the event. So isip lang muna kayo and yeah, sasagutin namin lahat yun mamaya. Before we continue, please don't forget to like and follow our socials at Roundnet Philippines, and kindly go and check our official website at www.roundnetphilippines.com. If you want to buy your own Spikeball set, equipments, and merch, kindly check their official website at www.spikeball.com. And you can also follow and like their socials at Spikeball. Sa ating website pala ng Spikeball, pwede kang bumili and you can learn rules, different drills, and advanced strategies to deepen your understanding about the sport and improve your game skills. And lastly, as you can see, meron tayong Spikeball app na tinatawag. It is free sa Android and iOS. It is a free app where you can schedule and find pickup games to connect with nearby players. Actually, sa amin sa Roundnet Philippines, we're using the Spikeball app para doon kami naglalagay ng mga pickup games namin. For example, sa Wednesday, meron kaming pickup games ng 3 to 4 p.m. Doon namin nilalagay para yung mga other Spikeball players around the Fairview sa Quezon City, kung gusto nilang pumunta, or sa other cities, kung gusto nilang pumunta, they can join and play with us. And that's it. So
okay, just to add on, Coach, the Spikeball app is where we got noticed by the Spikeball community around the world. So it's a very fun app. You can try that. Although right now, scheduling a game is not yet allowed, or unti-unti pa lang in-open up to avoid crowding and to avoid yung promoting magkita-kita face-to-face. So eventually, you will be able to maximize the app as well. And just like what Coach Jun said, you can learn from it. It's like Instagram. You can see posts, highlight videos. And if you post, you might win prizes from there, because I experienced that once. I received free merchandise from posting and being featured in the highlight sections, and a lot of good things come from that app. So I want you to try that on. So before we end, we just want to share a bit of our future plans. So right now we're at this point where we can only conduct online learnings. We're still at this webinar. But all of these events, we have planned this out after pandemic, or hopefully slowly, one step at a time. We want to be able to go through schools and go out and do workshops. As we started in 2020, actually, we went to different universities, high schools, pero we haven't maximized that much. But I hope for sure, once face-to-face classes begin, we'll be able to do that. We also have this outreach where everyone can play. So once we organize and settle our structure, we'll be able to send out, hopefully we get to send out Spikeball sets around the Philippines, and for the less fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to play. We're also planning on having an intercollegiate, beach open, and of course the Roundnet Nationals, for us to be able to determine who will we be able to send out for the 2022 first ever Spikeball Roundnet World Championship, to be hosted or to be played in Belgium. Okay, so hopefully we get to send out our national athletes there and makapag-represent ng Philippines. So more about the Spikeball sets, you can check this out on the website. They have the standard set, pro set. They have rookie set, a bit larger, a bit, the ball is larger, and the circumference is larger. As we have mentioned, you can play this at any age. You can play this at any surface, grass, wood, cement, even on water. Yes, that's correct. You can play the sport on the swimming pool, on the beach, and you can also play this at night. We have glow-in-the-dark sets available. So to check that out, here are 3 reasons not to own. It will make you active, and moving is hard. Of course, we're being sarcastic. If you own a Spikeball, random people will come up to you and ask you, where do you got such a great game? And your friends might only invite you only because you own a kit. But the good things to own is, man, you will be the instant cool friend, and it will get you the best shape of your life. So if you want to purchase sets, you can scan the QR code here. You can actually go directly to spikeball.com. You can go to Roundnet Philippines Facebook page. We have sets on hand here in the Philippines. You can order and transfer with GCash, how it's going to be accessible to you. But you can also order online directly to spikeball.com using your credit card. So just to end the presentation, we'd like to thank everyone in the UST IPEA department, the coaches, and all of the speakers. And yung susunod pa, yung mga nauna sa amin, this is a really great opportunity for these new sports to revolutionize sports and to do innovative through this new upcoming games and sports. So we thank you very much. Kung may time kayo, you can watch videos of the highlights if you want. Medyo hindi nag-work ng maayos yung videos and audio. Pero you can visit videos on YouTube, Facebook, and our socials. So again, we thank you. Maraming salamat po for listening. Thank you for your time. Salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Coach Vic, Coach John, and Coach Jun. Maraming salamat po. And for the Q&A, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to give the floor to my colleagues.
Okay, so we have a question, but this question is more of a general question. So, how to become a member of these sports organization, Roundnet, and so on?
Yeah, I guess for Roundnet, I can answer. Yeah, so for Roundnet, basically it's the same with Coach Ralph and the floorball. We want to promote and encourage everyone to start their own clubs and teams in different areas in the Philippines. So right now we are still new and we're looking for clubs to open up around universities as well as provinces in the Visayas and Mindanao region. So form a club, reach us out through our socials, through our Instagram, Facebook. You can directly message us through our website or email. And yeah, we'll give you further details about the membership. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so her question was, is there an inning set or quarter and time limit in playing Roundnet?
Yeah, so the game is played up to 21 points, best of 5 games. So in terms of time restriction, there's no time limit. And innings, I think that would answer with the sets, best of 5 sets. That's for the official and the international tournaments. But what Spikeball does is they want you to improvise, innovate based on how comfortable you want to play. For example, if you play in a small area, you can allow the ball to bounce at least once. So it's up to you. It's your agreement before you start the game. But for the official, to answer the question, the game is played up to 21 points for each game, best of 5, without time limit.
Yeah. All right. Thank you po for that wonderful answer po. Now, I think my colleague Vince would like to ask some questions.
Thank you, RX. So this question po is from Gakutan Glenn. Anyone can answer po. Are we behind when it comes to appreciation, inclusion in school setting of these sports compared to our sea neighbor? Anyone can answer po.
I guess I can go ahead first. So in terms of, in reference to our Southeast Asian neighbors, the sport relatively is really young. So in terms of being behind or ahead, Philippines, around the Philippines has been part of the Spikeball international community during, as early as we mentioned in the history, 2018-19. And to our Southeast Asian members, they're actually in touch with us. Some of them are even asking us on how did you start? And we're actually exchanging best practices, which is good about having global communities and relationship. So just like now we gave advice to Indonesia, and right now Indonesia is ahead of us since we're in lockdown and they're slowly opening up their gates. They are now ahead of us. So we are now asking for advice from Indonesia. But in terms of being behind, I think we're still on the same pace.
Thank you po. So next question po tayo. This question po is from Anonymous. Do you think that they can surpass the other big sports?
For us, for Roundnet, sport of Roundnet, I think a lot of players from other sports have been transitioning also. Well, it started as a side sport, no? But right now, Roundnet became a solid entity, an individual sport. Before, it's just a warm-up game for ultimate frisbee players. And now we see the number of ultimate players getting tired from the high intensity, transitioning as they grow old, they now transitioning to the sport of Roundnet. And seeing the niche in a scale of the international games, The first ever World Championship will happen next year, and I think that's a great start for eventually turning the sport from a side event to a main competitive and main stage of the sporting industry. Just to add lang din, I just want to highlight the point that yung sport of roundnet can be played well practically anywhere. So I think that's a great advantage of the sport. We're having a set na very affordable, also very versatile that you can simply play it on grass, sand, cement, wood. So teaching this in a grassroots level and eventually developing into a great sport in the future. I think in the dual or the dual what do you call it, dual sport category and being it a new and innovative sport, I think there's a great chance for it to become the next great global sport. As the Spikeball company, that's actually their vision, to become the next great global sport. So I think they're on the right pace as they started really 1990s na siya, naging sikat, 2000s na siya naging sikat, but at their pace, it's slowly becoming the next great global sport.
Thank you, Sir Vic.
We got a question for Spikeball. So it was asked by Geofelgo, and his or her question is, what's the difference between Slamo and Spikeball?
Yeah, so those are brands carrying the equipment, producing the equipment for the sport of roundnet. So Spikeball actually started the whole trend, but a lot of companies have grown interest into producing. So Slamo is popular in other Asian countries, in other South American countries, but in the US and actually in Europe, they formed this Spikeball Europe and Spikeball America, where they supposed to host the national tournament, the international tournament. So the name of the first World Championship would be Spikeball Roundnet World Championship. So as it is directly sponsored by Spikeball. But recently they divided it, they separated the company to the sport so that there will be a distinct, hindi masyadong mag-conflict yung company, walang bias. So they now started with the International Roundnet Federation. So Slamo is just a brand, just like marami pa ibang brands but you can actually see that on Amazon. I don't think if it's available in Lazada, but Spikeball. From Roundnet Philippines, we are directly connected to Spikeball. So if you're asking kung anong magandang gamitin between the two, we'd definitely be more inclined to using Spikeball sets, as it is what is being used in the international tournaments.
So for this part po, Bailey, ibabalik ko na sa'yo ang floor mo.
Floor ko talaga, Vince. Thank you, Vince and RX. I hope that you all were enlightened by the open forum and the answers given to you by our very special guests. So at this point, pag may mga tanong pa po kayo, please don't hesitate to inquire them and send them to the emails of our respective speakers regarding anything. And you can contact any of the IPEA SC for their contact details if you don't have them yet. All right. So at this point, if I may ask, the speakers, previous speakers, every single one of them, to turn on their cameras as to show we will now be giving virtually our awarding of certificates. For Spikeball, Coach John Aquino.
Hello.
You may turn on your camera, please.
Okay na po.
Next up, we have also from Spikeball, Sir Vic Domingo.
Okay na po.
Thank you very much. We have June Tabiolo for Spikeball as well. Thank you, Sir June.
Okay na po.
All right. So again, thank you so much to our guest speakers, to everyone that are here, that's still here, and to everyone behind this event. Thank you so much as well. And to do the honors of course, closing our event, may we request the presence of our dashing, very charming chairperson of the Institute of Physical Education Athletics BPE program, Dr. Jerome Angelita Porto, LPT, VPD. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. And it was a very rich, no, and there's a lot of learnings that we had, no, this afternoon. So, would like to thank all the resource speakers, the invited speakers from different sports, and we pray and hope that these sports would be played in different corners in this country. No? So let us give this the opportunity for this sports, and again, in behalf of our institute, our director, Reverend Father Rodel Cansancio OP, we would like to again extend our gratitude and thank you for being with us, and also to the students and other professionals who are inside in this webinar. Thank you for being with us. To the organizers, to the committee, the faculty, the academic staff of the institute, the support staff, and other offices, you know, that provided us assistance for make this event possible and a success. So once again, thank you very much. Also to the student council, no, of the institute, no. So President Miles Kianzon, no, thank you very much, and the officers of the student council of IPEA. So service PE moderator, Ma'am Pauline Gabayan, thank you, and to our secretary, okay, Assistant Professor Hilda Maria Paz Arcamus. No, thank you for facilitating all the communications, no, in different offices in the university, and to our athletic moderator, Sir Rodrigo Sambuang Jr. Thank you for sharing korfball, no, in this webinar session. So again, to all of us, no, let us play more, let us learn more, because, you know, as we go with these different physical activities, for sure this would help also battle COVID-19. Okay, so we'll be more healthy, we'll be more active. Okay, so again, congratulations and maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jerome Porto, for giving us that inspirational closing remarks. And thank you as well, Dr. Jerome, for this event. Wouldn't be possible without you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are down to our last two events in our week-long celebration of the 21st founding anniversary of the Institute of Physical Education and Athletics, for tomorrow, we will have our second installment of our virtual fitness marathon at 8 a.m. in the morning. And for our last event, we will be having one of the most awaited fourth IPEA Research Forum on April 30, Friday, from 9 a.m. up to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, before we formally end the event and head to our UST hymn, I would like to give the honors of showing our appreciation. Yes, before we formally end, yes, before I get to that, next slide, please. There we are. You will be having the evaluation form. You can scan that. And okay. So on behalf of those behind this event and the IPEA, the College of IPEA, we would like to acknowledge and give our appreciation to Father Adel Cansancio, our Director and Regent, Dr. Jerome Porto, Chairperson of the BPE program, Assistant Professor Rodrigo Zombuang Jr., our athletic moderator, Assistant Professor Pauline Gabayan, our SPE moderator, Assistant Professor Gilda Maria Camus, and our department secretary, and to our organizers, the IPEA Student Council, EdTech Central. This event would not be possible without your support and guidance. Once again, thank you so much, and thank you to all who are here. Maraming salamat po. Once again, this is Baby's Akot, and at this point, I will now invite all of you to sing with us the UST hymn. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care always.